She'd help you with two scriptures. The first one is the first verse of the book of Revelation. And it's a text. We know it's seen through a glass darkly, as some of the prophets have said. But it states this. It says, the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him, to show unto his servants, you and I, things which must shortly come to pass, and he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John. So here's this text. God the Father gives it to Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ gives it to an angel and says, give it to John. From that reading of mine, can you tell me how John knew that it was genuine and legitimate? So in other words, revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John. How did John know this was true and something of immense value? Either, if there's no chairs, we'll...
If I get 2 chairs?
If you do it quickly, because we have started the lesson. Help me understand. How did it... Explain that. What did the angel do to John? That's my last clue. Sorry?
Maybe he took his hand.
No. We actually have started, so if you, now listen to the wording again. I'll give you the second part of this. Okay, can we close that door now so that we can put this can away?
Sorry, no problem. Otherwise they're going to block it. Nicky here.
Okay, are you all with me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to read it. This is the third time. It says, the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass, and he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John. Sorry? Signify. Semino is the word in Greek. Semino. I think we need to put a house full sign up there, because I can't stop everything.
I'll go out and I'll let them ones come up, because I've already done it.
No, this is not what you did the other one.
Alright,
Okay, the answer is... there's one seat here, if you could move quickly. There's another seat up here. You can move that to this side.
Hey. The room's full.
Okay. And if anyone comes to the door, can you just say full?
See you later.
Full house. Okay. Let's get back into the spirit of this occasion. Yes. So the angel gives the text of the book of Revelation to John. Okay? It's going to be instructed to John. It's going to explain what's going to happen in the last days. And what he does he reaches out and gives a sign. A sign. Now you know John knows this knowledge, because he's taught it. You know that from your personal experience. Okay? And so the next one here is, the last one is the book of Acts, when only 2 or 3 verses describing what Jesus Christ does when he comes back during the 40-day ministry. And it says this, Acts 1, 3 and 4, 2, 3 and 4. Until the day in which he was taken up, after that he, through the Holy Ghost, had given commandments unto the apostles with whom he had chosen. And then it says this, to whom, to the apostles, he showed himself alive, that he was returned from the dead. He showed his disciples that after his passion, by many infallible proofs. Infallible proofs in Greek are signs and tokens. And he spent 40 days teaching these, and I'm certain other administrative assignments to the Quorum of the 12. 40 days. I couldn't speak for 40 minutes about my knowledge of tokens and signs and their significance. But fortunately for us, we can get an insight, because if you look at the common patterns for all world religions, they're very informative. I can't tell you this means that, because I'm not qualified to teach you about temple. However, if I show you what the worldwide pattern is, you can teach yourself. Okay? When something comes to you, you think, oh my goodness, that's this, don't share it with other people in the room, because you're not qualified either. The Holy Ghost can only teach the people who can recognise the pattern. You can reflect on it, it'll give you some guidance and direction, there's no question about it at all. But be careful about sharing things that should not be shared. But I do invite you on this journey. Everyone needs a copy of this little resource. Can I pass those around if you didn't get one of those? These are the common features of temples worldwide, whatever religion you choose to. Can you just see, I haven't got one of those. Can you pass one on as well? Can you pass some back as well? Okay, so let's go one step further. We shared this first slide in our session the other day. This is. Does anyone not have? Does anyone need a sheet? Just pass it. Okay. Thank you. Now, we won't go through all this really quickly, but in all temples worldwide, any religion that you nominate that has a temple building tradition, their sites, they say, are the place that you go to for mysteries. Mysteries are not things that you see Houdini do. They are things that once were widely known, but have been taken away and only remnants have remained and are in the act of being restored. Okay? There is always, in fact, on mysteries, the very first verse of the Book of Mormon, Nephi says to you, knowing that as he's speaking to his descendants as well, that he has a great knowledge of the goodness and the mysteries of God. He's just come from Jerusalem. He would have known the patterns and the teachings around the temple in Jerusalem. And he says, I have a great knowledge of those things. So the first thing he does after this long trip, he and presumably with the support from other people, he builds a temple. That's a remarkable thing. And he wants you to know, when you read this book, he really understands temple. He is talking to you because you're the only group of people who would recognise this in depth if you were a temple painter. Okay? There's always a clear separation between sacred space and profane space. There are markers and boundaries that set those. In fact, the word profane means you are far from the temple. That's what the word means. So, clear warnings are given to people who come to these sites that they should not enter sacred space unless they are worthy. Do you have them in your local temple? So, you know where sacred space begins and where profane space ends? You don't?
The recommend desk.
No.
Nope. You can't pass there without demonstrating.
Yes, but the sign is before then.
Oh,
Holiness to the Lord, the house of the Lord, it says, that's the sign. And other religions, they have gargoyles on the corner of the buildings. Okay, go to Chinese one. Dragons, you mentioned to me?
In Europe as well, they have gargoyles on the cathedrals.
Yeah, they're all warning signs. They don't say a word, those things, but they're saying to you, don't enter here if you're not worthy. Even on some of the early temples in the church, they built like salt. It's the battlements. What's the message? The battlements are sending to all the world.
Stay out, you're not coming out.
Yeah, there's a war here. We're ready for any attack. All those things now. All the designs have changed. All those sort of things. Priest authority is always important. Always important. The temples almost every time face east, whatever the religion is. Ours does. Only two temples until the recent ones in the church that don't face east.
Why not?
Because the number's significant, the direction's important. And that's why when it comes down it says light plays an important part in sacred locations. That and also the fact that if you add a circle and a square, like they do with the designs of the Salt Lake Temple, and you have north is January the 1st, and you come around in a circle with all these days, one for each year, you enter the Salt Lake Temple on 6th of April. Do you understand that? You went to the temple in New Zealand on Jesus Christ's birthday? On his death day? Is that right?
What did you say?
Sorry?
What did you say?
Okay. There's a picture that you can see in a text, one of my few videos, where he shows the Salt Lake Temple on a square,
Yes.
okay, and then a circle around it.
Okay.
The main entrance, if you put January 1st in north and come around April, May, June, up September, October, you enter the temple, the main entrance, on April the 6th.
Okay. But you said something about this temple.
Well, this temple faces east. Okay. So that number is really significant. That's the church. So you went to the temple. Every time you've gone here, you've gone to the temple on the Lord's birthday, his death day, on the date in which the temple was formed, on the date at which the ground was broken for the Salt Lake Temple, the date in which the temple was dedicated. All of those things. And if you think about it, since Joseph Smith said the grand key for understanding temple theology is knowledge of Jesus Christ. Think of his glory and where light comes from, and you'll see why it has to come from the east. Okay? Now, sometimes I'll have to get to a certain point and not go further for that. Okay? Light and darkness, always important. Porters guard doors. Have you ever met a porter? Okay? If it's Catholic backgrounds like myself, Catholics don't call them porters, they call them subdeacons. They guard doors. Okay? Do we have any porters? We do. I shouldn't have picked on you again after you got the answer right last time. Yeah, there are people who guard doors. The locations of all religions, and I'll show different patterns as we go through, link 3 spheres. You have to link 3. There has to be 3 worlds. The heavens, this present earth, and the spirit. The teachings in these sacred religions, whatever the faith is, purport to have the ability to give you the knowledge to return to the presence of God. Numbers have great significance. Every time you count a number, see a number, hear a number in the temple, you should be thinking, how does that link to Jesus Christ? It's true with Muslim faith as well as everything else. Sites are dedicated and set apart from common usages. You can't take anything that's common into a temple, or if you do, you've got to change everything that you're wearing so that you don't breach that. If you go to Buddhists, they say every temple has mantras, mudras, mandalas, and yantra. So what's mudra? Sorry?
Is it prayers?
No. It's small, significant hand movements. Mantra are small, significant combinations of words. Okay? Mandalas are combinations of circles and squares. I was in a ward in this state some time ago when a sister jumped up in a testimony meeting and said, "Brothers and sisters, please help me. Why do we, when I drive down that Mormon mile, do I see these squares inside squares?" And she said, my companion said to me, "It's just a design feature." Is it? I see it on the state calendar. Is that a design thing for you? Or does it have meaning? Does the small wall that goes in this big square around the temple have meaning? Do the two trees have meaning? Do the number of steps you count up before you go into the temple have meaning? Do the two pathways up, do they all have meaning? Do the number of windows around each side and the progression of those, does that all have meaning?
Yes.
Surely, it's just design features, surely. Because if it had meaning, you would be looking for it, wouldn't you? Well, you're told it's a school. You know you get an examination before you leave. Yes, you do. You do. Yes, you do. If you think about it, it'll come to you. And you'll see from your expression on your face that it's all right. Oh, I know. Be
You're talking
patient.
about squares and squares, like, maybe I'm not seeing anything.
Well, next time you go out and set the fence along with the designs, which are square inside a square.
Yes, and that has a meaning.
It absolutely does. The interlocking squares in the visitor centre, where the squares cross over, has a meaning. I went down there one day and the person was there said to me, "No, that's design features. What are you talking about? That has meaning."
What meaning does it have?
I can't teach all of these things,
Oh, okay.
but you can. But on that, there has been an article on the inside, and the brethren say that's the seal of Melchizedek on the wall. The two glass panels come together, the overlapping squares. That's what the article on the inside suggests. Okay, so any movement in any temple, you have to go in, around, and up to the centre. You cannot go straight to the centre in any temple anywhere in the world. There are labyrinths, lots of small rooms. You couldn't go into a temple without a guide, an escort, and find your way. The Hopi Indians in their small centre have 500 small rooms. What do you need rooms for? With that number? They have more rooms than they have people. Every temple is a microcosm. That means a small cosmos. If you look at those and think, this is the big cosmos is what you see in the sky, but a small cosmos is a smaller version of that big one. So you'll see, if you track your journey through the temple, you will see those patterns, as will all other faiths. Slightly different in some cases, but that's a common pattern. So you, for example, you have to leave some stage of that through a small exit. Because when you came into this world, you came in through a small entry point. You get that? Yeah. So start building on that little pathway and you think, oh my goodness, that fits. They all fit together. And we can talk at the end of it. Clothing is always symbolic. Pillars are fascinating. Pillars. I'll share some things with you as we go through. A great deal of teaching occurs, sacred clothing of different kinds around the world. Only those authorised can teach. And participants, when they go, they have to take a little bit of the temple with them. Okay? Okay, now, let's now go one step further. Here's Hugh Nibley's comments. He said, every nation, you almost use the same words when you came in and had the conversation. Everyone has enough of this sacred tradition and its remnants to lead people to Jesus Christ if they are looking. Okay? He says that the remnants are scattered, they're not in the right sequence, but they're still instructive. And they can give temple patrons here a confirmation of the genuineness and antiquity of what we believe in. It's remarkable. Most people now say, Joseph Smith producing the Book of Mormon? How could anyone do that in that time? Some people come up so desperate, they say, well, he could have memorized in the 60 days 50,000 words every day, went in, started to translate and just remembered it and just wrote them out. I mean, I can't remember what I said yesterday. Others say, the Book of Mormon's remarkable, but the Pearl of Grace is remarkable. How do you go back to prehistory? We've got things in those facsimiles that teach all about temple stuff, and you just need to know the context of those, because they didn't bury any king in Egypt without one of those facsimiles on his breast, under his head, or in the sarcophagus. So soon you wake up and there's the message of how do you get back to your presence of the God. It's all there. Joseph Smith didn't make a fuss of it. He just said, these numbers here, you only can get that knowledge when you go to the sacred house of the Lord. All of those sorts of things. Only kings.
And she had
Some of them, one that they found, they only found about 100 in the Valley of the Kings in Egypt. One was made of bread. Now, when my mother passed, my sister was really close to my mother. She wrote a message. Said, Mum, how much we love you, something, and put it on the sarcophagus, not sarcophagus, but on the coffin casket lid, with no comprehension that she's copying this same ritual that's in our scriptures, and same sort of message. So, if you look at the patterns, they'll be really significant. So, now go one step further. This one here. I'm sorry it's so small. Can you see what that is?
Tree.
Oh,
Sweat lodge.
Sorry?
yes.
Sweat lodge.
It's a sweat lodge. Now, surely, come on. I've just tried something really extreme here. This is not something that's significant to us, surely. What do you do in a sweat lodge?
You sweat it.
Please explain.
Okay, well, okay, that's the old style sweat lodge. See when I show you the next slide whether you can see how these things match that list I've just given you. Oops, let me get out of the way.
Interesting.
I'm pleased to you. Don't forget to jump in, you've got the invitation. Okay, if I didn't show you that picture and I covered up that, what would you think we're going to talk about today? Sacred. Why do you have to go on your knees? Well, yeah, it's a really small entry. It's a small entry, suited back to American Indians. You have to be humble to come to this house. Yeah. As you come down on your knees, the man who's guarding the entrance is the porter, is the high priest. And so as they come in, I can't demonstrate it. You get down on your knees like that, and the high priest puts his arm around your shoulder and says, "This is your new name." Okay? The flap that's put over that robe, that entrance is called a robe. Okay. It faces east. You get one small entrance. Why is that important? Well, you can't. Has anyone ever been through a temple? or you've only been in a temple, around the temple, and come out the same door, unless there's an emergency. You can't go through a temple. You go in, around, up, and back out the same way. Okay? Can't use nails as strings. Well, that's a direct, almost a word-for-word comment about what Moses was told to do in terms of building the tabernacle. Nothing that's common. Don't use a worldly stuff. Okay? So look at the numbers. I told you every number is significant. What do you please think of when you see 8 and 12?
12.
Sorry, 12.
12 apostles.
Yeah, 12 is priesthood number.
12 times the Israel.
Yeah, lots of 12s. All the quorums are 12. So how many deacons in a deacon's quorum? 12. How many in a teacher's? No. 24. How many priests? You on a roll, Bisco. How many in an elder? Tell me that those are not important. Is it important that you step up 12 steps before you go into the front door of the temple? Or is that a design feature just?
Do you think these various architects over the years who've designed the have understood these principles?
There is, I'm told, a manual with general principles, but that doesn't exclude the need for the architect determined by the church to have revelation in design. For example, the person who was the designer of the San Diego temple. Has anyone been there? Oh, sister, tell us what's it like. What is it like?
It's amazing.
It floats in the air if you see it at night, doesn't it?
Yes, it actually has 3 levels in its celestial realm.
Wow. The architect of that put in the church inside. I prayed about what to do, and the Lord inspired me to put 10,000 circles and squares in that house. You look at it from the down, you'll see the squares, overlapping squares from the space. Melchizedek will see that space and read that in a heartbeat.
The Islamic thing have that too.
Yes, they do. My sister, it's really interesting because in terms of those temples, I've asked people, did you go to San Diego temple? And I said, yeah. And I said, did you see the squares? And they said, what squares? What circles? It's really interesting. So, okay, let's keep moving forward. Since you got a pass mark on that, I don't know how I've got something harder. Now, over a period of time, those designs changed. Please.
Comment. When President Hinckley was asked to approve the design, he immediately instructed that seal be included in this elected.
Yeah, I mean, I'm told by people that witnessed the selection of the site, and President Mackay and 2 other selected brethren coming before the dawn was up, climbing up halfway up this hill. He telling the 2 brethren he's with, wait here, I'll go up further. And as soon as, in fact, the sun comes over the high, he's raising his hands, and then comes down and says, the owner will sell this property, and for this price, and nominated a price cheaper than the people asked for. Is it significant that at the very spot in which the baptismal font is, that there were 6 skeletons in that space, all interred, sitting up, in the very space where the font was going to be? All of those elements come together. Is this by chance? I thought perhaps, but so much comes together, it's really difficult to discredit some of these things. So these are older style. Here's where, but these are sort of more like a sauna. When the religious significance is lost, you might as well be in a sauna. The Lakota who say, no, the genuine one, we go into those things because if we sacrifice ourselves in that space, we get rid of deep down sin in that space. So here, this pathway for where they heat the stones, and the number of stones they use are always significant. The number of logs they use to heat the stone is significant. Here's the straight and narrow way, right into the middle of that sweat lodge, where there's an altar right in the middle. The altar's got 4 horns. What's a Jewish altar doing in the middle of a sweat lodge in Lakota Sioux Indians? while the stone's been heated here before they go into that previous sweat lodge, the high priest comes and puts his hand around the person's going and says, "Which kingdom are you after?" And is given 3 options. Can you see why? When European settlers flooded into America and saw Indian rituals and practices, they would have every right to conclude this is just paganism. Because you had to be Latter-day Saint to understand, oh my goodness, this is this. You see Hopi Indians in Utah, and they say, and they join the church, I know all this. Okay, let's go again. Now, sure, you're not going to get all of these things correct. Tell me, look at your list, match them up. That way you'll be able to match them up when you look for them yourself. At this moment. Well, you covered that up. The straight pathway, the straight narrow pathway, is known as an umbilical cord. Do we believe in those things? What's an umbilical cord? It connects the child to the mother. You know that in fact when the Temple of Jerusalem was built, there was a clockwise pathway up that hill with a little fence next to it with a chain on it. And if it was too steep for you to climb, it wasn't a very high mountain anyway, but if it was, you just hang on to the cord. That over a period of time, Hugh Nibley says that eroded away, so they put a cord around it, and it was called the umbilical cord. You always go to sacred sites where that meets these correct elements, where they're dedicated set of space. It always has a feminine component to it. You have to decide that is this in some way signaling to you this is your connection back to Heavenly Mother and Heavenly Father, of course. Only you can decide those things. You'll see different views from different religions. We covered that. Inside the circle in the lodge, one may communicate with the spirits above and below. Is that they say? If it is, what are their Lakota Sioux doing with it?
I'm just wondering about your below.
Below, okay.
I mean, I know you go down low.
Well, where's the spirit world?
It was above.
It's around us, but in fact it's considered to be low.
Yeah.
In fact, the dedication prayer for one of the temples that I read recently online said, one of the prophet was going through and said, we dedicate this and this and this, dedicate this and this. And then he said, bless all the utensils we use in the baptistry in the area we call the realm of the dead. Okay? And do they attend the ritual at the same time as you're performing for them? Do they attend?
Absolutely.
Celeste, you know, of course. Yeah. Any thoughts about that or comments? Have you had examples where? Yeah.
People experience that one time.
I've known some people line up for baptism to say, I swear to you, I was getting people talking to me and I could see no one talking. They were saying, hurry up, we want to get in. I read an example of an elder Wood who was a temple president. I don't know what part of the country. He was doing the ceiling for a large family. He received from the mother the list of all the family members and said to her, is this all your family? And she said, yeah, it is. And he starts the ordinance again and stops and he said, are you sure? She says, yes, I'm sure. And the third time, in fact, he has the same prompting, there's someone missing. So he said to the mother, did you have a child that died before they got a name? And the woman said, oh yes, I do remember that. I didn't have it on the list. And the president said, every time I start the ordinance, I hear a child's voice saying, Mother, don't forget me, don't forget me. So that's that communication, that's the spirit of the, in some way, linking and joining the process. We talked yesterday about the Hopi Indians, when they get in a circle and they start their ritual, everyone goes around above you, this is a poor imitation of what they do. They can't dance, sing or anything. But, and they say we do that because the spirit's dead to be told. We're starting the ritual. It's done. The ritual is you need to wake up, you guys, if you want to attend. They call their Wu Chim ritual the ritual that cleanses the nations. I don't know that any one single sentence can capture what our religion does in that place there. But what a great start that concept is. Cleanses the nations.
Really, we did.
Yeah. It's fascinating. So covered that. Can't go to the middle. Go in and around, clockwise. Okay, you okay with all that? Are you starting to see, oh, that matches this on your sheet? There's their sign to say that you're leaving sacred space, so you're leaving profane space and you're going into sacred space. That buffalo skull is their way of marking the boundary. You'll see that in other slides that I'll show you as you go through.
I see that little fence.
Yeah, I wondered at that. I looked at that and I thought that boundary is clearly shaped. It can't be metal because you're not allowed to use metal in these things.
Because that's transportable, they can carry it.
Yes, well, that's it. I know there's a church member living in Rotorua who went across and attended one of those ceremonies, and not the original ones that they do, and they're really sacred. Came back and said, I'm going to set up one of those in Rotorua. Now, that's just a sauna. The Irish did it, they lost the meaning as well. Well, why would you blame them? Well, I'm Irish heritage. Well, we forgot it. We have got the sauna baths in Ireland, more in Ireland than I believe in any other society. But you can't make these things commercial. Okay, let's go again. True or false? Doesn't match. Mysteries about it doesn't match. The importance of sacrifice is taught in this building. There's a sacrifice pole outside every sweat lodge, and if you bring offering to that place, you tie that sacrifice to that pole. Can you see the link? Okay, numbers have a special significance. Do we do that? What's significant about 3? Sorry?
The Godhead.
The Godhead? Sure.
The kingdom.
What was the age of Jesus Christ when he started and finished his mission? 30 and 33. How many people did he bring back to life on his mission? 3. The languages above the cross were 3 different languages. How many Marys were at the bottom of the cross? 3. He performed his first miracle on the 3rd day of his mission. Goes on and on and on and on. 5's are significant. Is it significant as 5 steps down into the font? Why 5 steps down into the font there? And why do the Hopis have 5 rungs on the ladder going up to the next kingdom? Okay. Compass direction, we covered that a little bit with the east. Stones are brought in, 7 stones, we covered all that. Rush. But cedar leaves, well, cedar was used as incense back in the day. And sometimes the wood, they had to cut the wood from the cedar tree.
Like the Frankenstein.
Yeah, yeah. The water's come in. The water is called Mini Wichoni, the waters of life. We have waters of life in our city. They didn't have the New Testament either. They didn't know Jesus Christ was teaching his disciples. They were well before that. Okay, and the next one. You want to roll now? Seen that before? That's Chartres cathedral, and it captures the very thing that we're describing in the smaller sweat lodge. You can't go to the middle directly. You've got to go round and round and round. You know that. That's a perfect description, because we can't get as great as the Lord wants us to be on the first go. And that cathedral, the people teach, if you go around and round and round and round to the middle and go on your knees, that's equivalent to a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Okay? So that's that same symbol. You'll see that in both the movement, general movement in our own temples, because you can't go to the middle, you have to go, you do things on the way. Like getting to the centre is difficult. When you see a picture I've got of the Shakers who were originated about the time of Prophet Joseph, they believed that trying to get to the presence, the middle of a circle, in this sort of model was really hard to do, and they had a ritual that you're really interested in.
It's the journey.
It's the journey, yes. You'll see after when all the knowledge that the original designs had eventually passed away, and they just built things like that. So they sit in a circle, backs away from the wood, and they're focusing on water. Okay. All sense of race, culture, set aside. They say to each other in greeting, we're brothers of the same blood.
Sounds like Mary's.
Yes, yeah, right. The main building in the Marae, you'll see all of these things match, with some small differences, but they just quite
This is the top result.
Sorry.
The altar is square. We all wanted to actually cover that. Welcome, my brother. It sits on a mountain called Pahawaka. Okay, you've got to have a hill. You've got to have a mountain. A high place. The mountain of the Lord's house. You got it. So it's not a Himalayan mountain size. It's a mound, but that'll do. And the altar sits on that.
Celtics.
Yeah. All of those issues. Women can only participate in the ritual if the hair's long enough so their faces can be covered. They do not share the same ritual with the men. That's so unusual, isn't it? And so affirming. Okay. They teach you have to be clean. That's why they go into it. It's often the lodge is often done before a vision quest. We'll look at that quickly. They say you can't return to the presence of your Father unless you've had revelation. Do we believe that? Who delivers our revelation? Holy Ghost. They call the Great Spirit. Okay. They say you can't understand the mysteries without revelation. Is that true? Yes. It's amazing. You can't go directly to center. We covered that. People are invited to leave. That's just before the ritual starts. But they say if you do choose to leave, you've got to leave clockwise, and you can't share what you took in the city. Lakota soup. Introduce you to your family. They held back these things so that you might know they were faithful. Hard to look at that, not be affected. How come these people who passed away many years ago are teaching us here today? I think it's because they held on to them. This one you'll like. And everyone's in a circle. They're bringing in heated stones, always in certain numbers. This is a prayer that the man offers. Each take turns praying, but this is one. Each person in the circle repeats the prayer. So it's grandfather, mysterious one. Everyone repeats it. We search for you along this great red road that you've set us upon. Everyone repeats it. Sky Father. Well, what group of people on the face of the earth believe in a father and a grandfather? Only Latter Saints. It's so strange. But how does it match all the time? I won't go through the whole thing. But a powerful witness. Okay? Speed up so you don't get bored. There's those sacred prayer circle designs. They're often found on the facing hills that you go onto Indian reservation tonight. You ask many Indians, what's that? And they'll say what you said to me when they ask you about that wall. They'll say, that's a design feature. Okay? That's not wholly different from the idea of a sign of the cosmos. The ancient one is this. So that's all it is. Sign of the cosmos, a simple version of the cosmos. It is, this is the centre place, which does not ever change. The outside are the worlds that are in commotion, and they're always changing. Sometimes people varied that model and said, from time to time, the gods come down to visit their people. And so they had add rays to them. Sometimes after that, instead of doing the full circle, people had this. If they turn right, that's masculine. If it's this way, that's feminine. Okay. I think that's the first case study. This is the next one. This is sun dancing. You heard about that? American Indian sun dancers. Once a year, prescribed ceremony. They build this lodge. I'll give you some more details around that. It always has to be open at the top. They can only have a certain number of rafters that join that centre pole, that access mundi, that pathway that links those three worlds. And they come here, they come into this ritual, and they're in a circle. The centre pole is there, and they look up. Well, in our faith, we tend to pray with their heads down. They have their heads up because they're wanting revelation from Him. Okay? Here's the pattern. Only worthy men can build it. Was that true of this one? There's one men that were getting 10 shillings a week. Labour missionaries. Okay. You've got to have a cottonwood tree with a fork. You can't just have a straight one. Of course, there's two pathways, you can tell. Is that related to the two pathways you face as you go up the hill? It's really interesting that the head, the centre part, is open to the sky. And when the sun moves around and it seems to sit on the fork, then they say, oh, we must begin our rituals now. That's their equivalent of your April the 6th. Light is always important. Okay? Once the tree is cut, it can't touch the ground outside the central sacred circle. The whole person ritual's got to stop. You can't have common and sacred mixed. Looking down from the sky, that place looks like a wheel, a sacred wheel. And Indians talk about sacred wheels all the time, which are just extensions of that concept here. I was fascinated with this. They call the middle of the circle Hakata, the place where all things come together. I thought Indians were savages when I was at school. What does that make me? Ignorance. The cottonwood tree. You might remember a cottonwood tree in one of our films. And when they cut it at the top, and you look at the cross-grain pattern, it's a 5-pointed star. And that's the centre pole goes up, so you can from the heavens you can see that star. You see that 5-pointed star with lots of temples around the world. That's probably enough to get bored with some of this.
No.
Here's the practice. This is just a grainy picture. I'm sorry, it's not fair. It's an artist drawing. Here's what they do. Here's the centre. There's that pole. That axis movement. That you have to. That's the pathway back. That's the umbilical cord back to your family, the eternal family. Men and women sit in a circle. The men here cut 2 cuts down here and insert a wooden slat under it, and they have a cord. You can see the 2 of them, one from each side. And then when they're ritual and they're praying earnestly, they come fasting, they do not drink alcohol. They come in that situation and they are raised up. Because you see, They teach the law of sacrifice in this way. And so the women are not allowed to. Like Sue said, they suffered all the sacrifice and needed to bring children into this world. That's the umbilical cord. Now, is there a relationship between that and the two pyramids? Because in fact, in all those sacred locations, you have to pass through the pillars. So, the Joachim and Boaz, two of them, have to go through those. In most cases, and I said this to some of you yesterday, going through the pillars means that you have, by doing that, you can get greater light and knowledge by that than anything else you do. The Masons teach that. They say no person can learn as greater knowledge as what is available to you when you pass through the pillars. Okay? The pillars of Hercules were not pillars at all. They were two mountains just with a short gap apart. They were famous though, like those temple monuments. Like the obelisk that Jesus Christ is right, not Jesus Christ, Joseph Smith's right next to his grave for his it's right. All that symbolism fits into that space. So the pillars of Hercules, the Spanish royalty thought, we're so fortunate we've got pillars in our country. They're the most famous things in the world, so we will make that as part of our royal coat of arms. And so they have two pillars, no Hercules, I don't know Hercules, and they have a banner around the pillars. You can search it out on Google. And the banner says non plus ultra. Well, I read that. I'm barely good with my English, and so I went to Google to translate. And non plus ultra means this is the end of the world. There is nothing beyond this point. Don't even try there. No man has ever gone through that, survived that space. And then that was true in the Mediterranean for 400 or 500 years until Columbus decided, oh, there's a gap there, I'll take my boat through. And found a new world, the descendants of the house of Israel. Not lost at all. Then, when Columbus did that, that was really unfortunate for the Spanish, because they had to change their coat of arms. And they put, instead of non plus ultra, they put plus ultra. Beyond this point, there's a whole new world. You go to Egyptian temples and they're always pillars right in the front. Sometimes there are people represented as pillars along the side. Amazing. Greek, yeah, and different types of pillars with the headers and the footers and the capitals. Yes. You see all that matching stuff coming in?
I'll show you photos.
Oops, I'm just about finished. Indians call all the rituals dances. No Indian nation in North and South America have a word for art. No one. It's all, every piece of art is religion. So that's true of Māoris. You probably picked up the art word from settlers, but look at that. They gaze at the sun to try and get revelation. The ritual can be practiced inside the medicine lodge or out, but always within a circle. They are the vision question. Lots of things. And time's up. Let's stop there. Are you okay with this? Other than the heat in here? Cool. Is this okay? I've got a few other things, but we're not going to have time. You might have to go to your other classes.
We can cancel the other class.
Let me just quickly show the
common consent.
There's that same one before. Right. Let's get through some of these. Sorry?
How did they not just faint with the pain of that?
Well, because they've been taught that they have to live the law of sacrifice. Was there pain in your trying to live it?
Pain is all different, I guess. There's
Well,
different
yeah, it is.
types of pain.
Yeah, but you have to sacrifice. You had to come back. I mean, even in the Mosaic pattern, had to come to the tabernacle with an offering in your hands. You think that you're going to be able to pull out a temple recommend and say, hey, clear that way, I'm coming through with my piece of paper? You have to come. Don't you get it? That in fact Jesus Christ, he went back to his Father in this way. Do you think he had sacrifice in his hands? An offering that was exclusively his own? And then his Father greets him on the other side of the veil. Do you see that? The eternal life is not cheaply bought. There's again some examples of mentors involved in all the riches, the full tree, the hymns that they sing, evil spirits are cast out, all of those things match. There's those skulls again, saying the place where the people are being raised up there is really sacred. This sacred space begins here and ends here, and we do all our rituals in sacred space, not out in that profane world place. All of those things come through. The dancers, they're the ones that do the drumming, tell the spirits, get themselves up. You guys were doing the ritual today. And it's the time of the year they would recognise. Oh, they're the Shakers. They, in their rituals, they dance in a circle, in a group, like a herd of bees, all trying to get to the circle, in the middle of the circle they can't. They believe so much in chastity, they never married, and the rigid died. Really. Okay. And the last one, this is the Indonesian Borobudur. This one here, have a look at it. 7 levels are square, 3 are circular. They have to climb around and round and round up to the middle. Starting at the east. Every one of these levels, there's a Buddha sitting there with his hands in a certain range, and his teachings you have to stop. And at certain times of the year, when they begin those rituals, light comes from different parts of the building and heightens their teaching, their mantra and their mudra, all there. All of those sorts of things. What a remarkable thing. How could Joseph Smith have known any of it? And he didn't make a great fuss about it. He did. No wonder the saints, before they drew out of those early church settlements, went day and night. And when the temple was dedicated, the first temple, that some of the sisters asked the prophet Joseph, can we bring our children to the dedication? And he said, if they're well behaved. And reports say, I think it was Kirtland or Nauvoo, that no seat in the dedication had only one person sitting in it. These are your ancestors. They are your brothers and sisters by blood. God bless you, my brothers and sisters, to be thoughtful about these things, because there's a huge amount of teaching. Don't feel bad if you haven't begun it, because I'm the slowest learner, and I'm running out of time to learn what I should be. God bless you for your faithfulness and for attending this day. I love this stuff. I pray that in fact you might learn to love it as well. In the sake of the name of Jesus.